We are 1 week away from the start of the NFL draft, and I cannot wait to see who the Washington football team picks. It's legit my favorite time of the year because it means football is almost back. I'm going to keep saying it until it's here. I'm Jade Kenny, and joining me is Stephanie Jokian and Janine Samuels, and this is The Wow, brought to you by Fresh Fine Wine.
We're going to keep taking advantage of having a little more time with our guests. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right into our Wow Spotlight for today's show. Joining us is Kathy Roth-Douquet. She's an advocate for the role of the military in civil society. She is an author, nonprofit leader, attorney, and former government official, and the CEO of Blue Star Families, which is the largest chapter-based nonprofit organization serving active duty of all branches, Guard and Reserve, wounded and transitioning veterans and their families, something that we definitely need. Blue Star Families' mission is to strengthen military families and our nation by connecting communities and fostering leadership to millions of people. Kathy, we are so excited to have you on our show today. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. And thanks for having me with you all. I'm really excited to be with you.
Yes, most definitely. And we are rocking like this whole red and blue. We're missing the white theme, but red, white, and blue, that's what today is all about.
The white will have to be our smiles.
There you go.
Yes.
It worked.
We were reading over your bio and it's just so impressive. And so we really just wanted to kick off the show today. If you could just share with our listeners a little bit about who you are and your journey.
Yeah, my life right now is supporting military families, but that was something that was really foreign to me growing up. I wasn't from a military family. I didn't know anyone who served. I went out and I did my own life. I was in politics. I was in government. I worked in the foundation sector, had a lot of glamorous experiences. I worked for a presidential campaign. My candidate was Bill Clinton. He won. I went to the White House with him. And then I traveled around the world with him, and it was really terrific. But he had this helicopter pilot from Marine One, very cute guy, and I married him.
Good for you. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And then my life really changed. And, shortly after we got married, 9/11 happened. And suddenly I was living with a community that was doing a very heavy lift for our country. And it was tough. And the war, we thought it was going to come and go, but it didn't. It didn't end, and it just kept going. And the service members and their spouses and the kids that we were raising, it's a huge honor, and it's kind of awesome to serve your country. But there were things about it that were harder than they needed to be. And they were hard in ways that really made us worried. Are we taking care of our families the way we have to? Because you love your country, but you love your family too. And you can't serve one if you're hurting the other. So what can we do, right? Can we tell this story to people who we know care, but they just may not have a window into our lives, so that we can do things better, so that we can do both, so that we can serve and see our families thrive, like everyone wants to do that. And so that's where the organization came in. Honestly, it grew bigger and faster than I ever imagined it would. It kind of became my life's mission. And that took me to where we are now.
That is awesome. So for then you, besides marrying your amazing husband, would you say that specific moment in your life that made you a champion for our U.S. military and their service was 9/11 or the war that ensued afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I think we would have transitioned out of the military, having done a good job, check that block, move on with our life, but 9/11 created a need. And when there's a need, you got to respond.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to speak for all of us, but we were all former cheerleaders for the Washington football team, and we were fortunate enough to do many military tours. And I'm going to speak also for the demographic in the area that we are in, with it being such a military area and wives, obviously, in the support. So I want to ask, that's such a huge role that you play. And we say a lot, especially when we've been on tours, that obviously it takes a lot for the servicemen and women to be over there, but it also takes a very strong and courageous and brave family to be selfless and to give that support. So as a wife to a military serviceman, can you give any advice for any women, mothers that are also trying, to be the support at home, or women that are overseas as well?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, seek help. No one expects you to be strong all on your own. and solve every problem that comes your way. In fact, a lot of the problems that are coming your way, whether you're a military spouse or whether you're just a human being, they're not problems you yourself can solve. There's systemic problems. And you have to get together with other people and tell your story so that you can bind together to solve them. When, and I'll give you a little example. When the Navy decides it's going to move families in October because that's convenient for their fiscal year, that takes the kids out of school in a way that really damages their school. If you're an individual parent, you can't solve that problem. The most you can do is try to decide, am I going to separate from my husband for early or for a year because I don't want to interrupt my kids' education, or am I going to try to play catch up? But if you band together, you could say, Navy, stop doing that. It's bad for us.
Yeah.
It undermines your mission because it distracts everybody. So seek help, whether it's to bind together, join Blue Star Families, which is free, no obligation, or whether it's other things, or even in smaller ways. If you're finding, I'm really sad, I had a baby and I'm really sad, I should be sad, something wrong with me. Well, you know what? Talk to other people and find out that there's a syndrome and it's normal, and normalize your experience by talking to people, by seeking help, both friends and organizations, because all of us can do better for ourselves and for our families, for our work, if we bind together.
You talked about going to the military and having a voice. Has Blue Star Families helped with any changes, policy changes, like you mentioned?
We definitely have, and it's been so empowering. We started by just creating a survey. So because I had been in politics before, when the Obamas first came into office, I had an opportunity. I had written a book in 2006, and when Senator Obama was in the Senate, his staff had read my book and they wanted to talk about what that was about. So I met them then, and I knew Mrs. Obama was thinking, as she became First Lady, about taking on military families as an issue. But very little was known about military families. So we did a survey of military families to have them say what their issues were, and presented that to her. And that, she attributed that survey as one of the things that helped her to shape joining forces. And then we do it annually, and we bring it to the military services and to Congress. And that's helped them work on getting licensure portability for military spouses. So if you're a nurse and you move, your license doesn't become invalid. Or I'm a lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you don't have to take the bar over and over again. It costs thousands of dollars, takes 9 months to do it. We've worked on getting childcare waivers so that even during 9/11, when a lot of military families got kicked out of their childcare because it was for essential personnel only, the current rules said that if they enrolled their kids anywhere else, they would lose their ability to ever go back to the military childcare. That's a horns of a dilemma. Well, we were able to get that policy changed in about 6 weeks. So we're kind of constantly able to change things and shape things, because it's in everyone's interest. It's in everyone's interest to change them. But if you can't identify the problem and articulate why you need to change them, you can't do it.
Right. And then having that data and having like the numbers and actually speaking to the people in which you serve, I know had to be such a powerful thing, obviously. And it's just so amazing to have a conversation with someone that is talking about the Clintons and the Obamas and all of these people that we consider to be heroes. But in actuality, Blue Star Families, you all are serving the true heroes of our country. And so I would just love to kind of hear with Blue Star Families, like maybe if there are any favorite moments with a particular military family that you worked with, or any story that you can share with our community.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, so we're grassroots to grass tops. We work with the senior leaders, but we work with the Lance Corporal's wife too. And we work with all facets. So I think a lot of times about our work with caregivers. Imagine, you're married, you're going along with your life, you have your career, your aspirations, or your focus, and suddenly your husband's injured and your whole life becomes around, where do I go with this? And a lot of times people's lives just collapse and they can't think beyond this hour or this minute. But we've done a bunch of programs. We bring in the family and we, bring them into the community, give them opportunities, give them support so they can get beyond the immediate day. One young woman who we met, she was writing poetry to try to express her feelings about this challenge that she was facing. She was kind of comparing her husband to an American flag that had gotten broken and torn, and she was trying to mend it and knit it back together. And, you know, was it still beautiful? Did it still represent something? Really moving. And we invited her to present the poem, both in a conference we were doing and then in one of our larger settings. So lots of people saw it and responded to it. And she really felt the love. And she also met some lawmakers. She met some senators and congressmen and some senior people. And she thought, you know, there is so much to do. I want to like be a congressman. So that means I need to go to law school. And she set on that journey, and she came to work for us part-time. And then when her husband got rehabilitated and was able to stay in, she enrolled in law school. Now she's working in a law firm. She's making connections to try to be a congressman. She wants to represent the issues of caregivers and, you know, tell that story in Congress. And it's so exciting to be in a place where you can help elevate people, you know, and let them follow their dreams in a way that gives back to the community. And so we've had just so many experiences like that.
That's amazing. I would love to see her poem or read it. And I don't know where she's going to run, what state, but
yeah, she's in Detroit. We could all like rally around.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Well, we want to talk more about you. While you were serving at the Pentagon, you received a Defense Medal for Outstanding Public Service for your work on defense reform. Can you enlighten us and share your key reform measures that you created?
I mean, you know, it's so interesting because I worked in the Pentagon as a political appointee before I married my husband. And I was doing kind of management reform, right? Like how do we outsource and not have the Pentagon do what it needs, what it doesn't do well, so that other people can. And one of those things was housing privatization. So I went to bases and my name was on the marquee. Welcome, Kathy Roth-Douquet, you know, Deputy Undersecretary, blah, blah, blah. And I get the tour. Then a few years later, I'm back on those bases as the wife of a mid-level service member. Looks really different. Looks really different. And what it's like to live in those houses, you know, and no one's showing to you the very best ones. And interesting, and it was great and important work because we need to figure out how to not spend too much money, right, in our Pentagon, how to use the money where we need it to be, how to not use it where it doesn't need to be. That practical experience, really helpful for growing a company, which Blue Star Families is a company. It grew from 0 to 8.5 million a year now and doubles every 2 to 3 years. So those management reforms were really useful, but also this housing privatization, what it means is that military families don't live on bases anymore. They're in our communities. Most people don't know that. They're moving every 1, 2, and 3 years. What we found in our surveys is that the unintended consequence of that, which could be good, but right now, because we haven't connected all of the dots, means that half of military families feel like they don't belong in the communities where they live. Their lifestyle is really different. They're moving too fast. Sometimes we don't know our neighbors. And so that's become a big mission for Blue Star Families. One of our major missions is to create a sense of welcome for military families and to find a way to connect them in and create that sense of belonging where they live. And it's interesting for me because it kind of, the journey for that started with my professional hat, you know, 20 years ago, and it's having this other, you know, incarnation now. The upside of this is that if you can know your military neighbors, you do feel connected to your country in a way. You know, you feel good about supporting them through their deployments and their lives. And as you guys know from the work you did with them, often the people who serve in the military are kind of awesome, motivating kinds of people. So helping them connect in with their neighbors is good for everybody.
Absolutely. And I love that you speak about creating that sense of community and making people feel belonged. And also, I love what you said earlier. I wrote it down about how important it is to be in a position where you're elevating others. And that is something that we speak a lot about here on the show, how we can build that community of empowered women and elevate each other and use our positions. I want to ask more about you and how has the work that you've done really shaped you into the woman that you are now?
Yeah, that's I appreciate that question a lot. You know, when I was a young woman, probably like you guys, you know, I had a lot of ambition. My dreams were about my brilliant career, right? I wanted a family. I wanted all of that, but I had this other kind of thought. Well, when you get involved with the military, none of it's about you. It's about the mission. It's about others. What I learned, when my husband went to war, part of me was thinking, why are we doing this? Because it's a volunteer military. We don't have to do this, right? I'm a lawyer. He's got an MBA. I know people. We don't have to do this. So why are we? And I had to come to the fact that, well, one thing is my husband's really good at what he's doing, and there's men and women serving underneath them, and we really care about them, and they're better off with him if they're going to go to war than they are without him. So we want to do that. We want to be there with them, and that gave me the insight that it's really about love. It's about, who do we love? What ideas do we love, and what people do we love? And what do they love that makes us love those things too? And that it's not about the brilliance that gets shined on us. I think, your guys' profession, being a cheerleader, it's really, that's really about shining light on other people, right? And it's about creating that community, and it's about creating joy in others. So I think it's very, very much similar. Maybe when you're a little girl or growing up, you think, oh, I'm going to be having the spotlight on me. But when you do it, you see, actually, I'm putting the spotlight on other people.
Look, that is such a great point, because anytime we would go on military tours, it was so interesting because the men and women would come up to us and thank us and, oh my gosh, we appreciate you all being here. And we're like, wait a minute, no. This is about you. We are here because of you, and we thank you, and we want to bring a little bit of America to you. And so I love that you bring that point up. Just, people in the military are such humble, joyful, giving people. And when you are able to go on tours and touch them in such a deep way, you learn that about them. And it makes you just want to keep going and keep going and keep going, and keep giving. And speaking of giving, it's really cool that you're the first member of the Hall of Heroes in the NFL Hall of Fame. And so I just have to ask you, what was going through your mind when Pro Football Hall of Famer Jim Kelly knocked on your door to tell you that Ford was donating $10,000 worth of toys so that you could give to Blue Star families?
Oh my God, that was so crazy. My poor little brain was just trying to connect the dots there with what was going on. It's and it's hilarious because I'm not quite 5'1". So when this big football player comes to your door and he's like, NFL Hall of Heroes, I'm like, none of this makes sense. My husband was there. He was laughing and laughing. And Jim Kelly was the nicest guy, but super amazing. And, I think a lot of times people in the military, as much love as people feel for them, often they don't know if they're seen or not. So when the NFL, when the Washington football team, when big, important, icons in American culture recognizes our community, it feels so validating, so affirming. And, first of all, it's overwhelming and humbling. And I think you sort of feel like, oh, they made a mistake, right? But the gifts and the support are huge. And it's NFL. Ford was part of it too. Ford is another fantastic icon for connecting in. And it makes such a difference. And then it's great too when you can give those gifts. We do Christmas parties, holiday parties every December for the junior enlisted families and the families who are at the hospitals. And it's really hard to pull off Christmas when you're far from family and friends, when you're low income family, you have a lot of kids. And so we just help deliver that magic and joy. It's one of the best things we do. You guys have to come, actually. I'm going to invite you to come do it with us because it's just a hoot. And so those were where we delivered those gifts, and it was COVID. So we did it outside. We had Santa in a Ford 150, camouflage, and the kids were so happy. And the families too felt proud that they could provide that for their kids, in a time when it otherwise would have been hard for them to do it.
Yes, we will definitely come.
I'll be there.
We have so many questions. I know we're running out of time, but when you were talking about why your husband and why you all decided it's important for him to serve, and it's really to protect others, and there's younger ones that their safety is so important. I started to tear up thinking I would want someone to say that. for my son, if he were to be in the service, that he would have somebody well-trained to protect him and lead him. So it kind of brings me to the book that you wrote, A Wall. Is that your premise as to why it's important for upper class to support and engage in military service? Or can you explain that?
Yes, it is. And I think what I was trying to say is that military service has become a family business. If 84% of the people who serve had someone, immediate member of their family who served too. And you can say, oh, you know what? Lots of fields are like that. So why is that a problem? But it's because civilians control the military. And if we don't know the military, it's really hard to be a good boss. It's hard to know, when should I send people into harm's way? When should I not? What are the implications of what I'm doing? And am I taking care of them the way I should? We didn't have the proper armor when we started going to war. We didn't have the under armor for the vehicles. If everyone who was in Congress has had a kid who was, vulnerable to getting blown up, we probably would have had that armor a lot faster. And I think serving in the military connects you to what our country is doing in the world in a way that's very important. And it also connects you to the lessons of what we do, so that when you go on to life, but it's not just the war part, it's the leadership and the mentorship and the responsibility. The idea, when you're in the military, you don't choose your missions. And our missions, 1/8 of them are violent. 7/8 of them are protection and support and, country growing and things like that. It connects you to, how do you be part of building a country? How do you not be the person who's deciding all the time what you do, but you're joining with other people in just doing? And I think in previous eras, people from all across the country served, and they took those lessons with them into how they built their communities, how they built their companies, how they built their families. Mm-hmm. I think it behooves all of us to have those lessons. And I just want us to open it up to everyone to serve, not just people who come from the families that do it.
I love that. I love the lessons and letting others just listen and learn from it, and not see being in the military as one-sided, because there are so many disciplines and responsibilities that come from that service. Before we let you go, I'm going to just keep trying to learn more about you as a woman, because I just think you clearly have such a servant heart and you do so much for others. And it is so admirable to be in your presence. But I want to know, how do you find time to do it all? We say a lot on here that you have to make sure your tank is full before you can help others. So how do you make sure that Kathy is good in order to give her best to others?
You have to learn yourself, right? What do you need? And don't try to be someone else's version of who you should be. So I think in life, you're constantly testing to see, what am I good at? What do I like? What am I not good at? What don't I like? And try to take your energy towards the things that the world needs you to do and you like doing and you're good at. And if you can focus your energy in those 3 areas and let other people do the other stuff. There's important things that need to be done, but if you're not good at it and you don't like it, find someone else to do those things and don't have you be that one. And if you're someone who, like me, I need downtime, take the downtime. There's no shame in that. If, when my kids were growing up and I was trying to write and do other things, I took naps a lot of days, and sometimes I'd watch movies in the middle of the day, and I didn't apologize for it, because if that's what I need to do to be present, then do it, for goodness sakes. And I think that we have to all realize life is long. You know what? I went to law school when I was 35. You can do anything whenever you want. This is America. So don't put pressure on yourself. Just, feel that the ways that you can give and the ways that you can shine are what's right.
That is so, so important for us to remember, because I think, with doing personal development and listening to podcasts and getting all this advice from people, you assume like, well, everyone's getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Everyone is super productive. Everyone's doing this, this, and this. But if it doesn't fit you, right, and if it doesn't energize you, and if it's not who you are as a person and what you need, then that's not the route that you need to go. So I love that you mentioned that. So thank you for that reminder, because I know that I need that reminder very often. So tell our listeners and viewers just where they can connect with you and Blue Star Families. Obviously we could sit here and talk to you forever. Military is so like a passion of all of ours. So, but unfortunately our time is coming to an end, but where can people connect and find you?
Yeah. So this has been super fun. This has been one of my favorite interviews I've done. So you guys are great, and I appreciate all you do. And we really would love people to come to us at Blue Star Families. Our website, you can just Google Blue Star Families. We're also bluestarfam.org. It's free, no obligation. We have things for people who are connected to the military, who are in the military for support, but we have lots of ways for non-military people to connect in. We do reading groups, we do outings to the parks and museums, we do all kinds of great ways to engage. So we'd love everyone to come to our site, learn more about us, become part of our community, and we'd love to know all of you. We have a very active chapter in the DC area, and we have a great relationship with the Washington football team.
Well, awesome. We cannot wait to, I personally can't wait to get more involved and to be a part of the Blue Star family and give back any way that I can. So thank you so much for joining the WOW. Thank you so much for all that you do for military women and servicemen and their families and for everyone in general. So thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
Has your business been affected by COVID-19? Have you considered reducing or moving your office space? Then it's time to call Victory Van. We provide the best service and price with flexible options for your company's moving and storage needs. Visit victoryvan.com to get your free moving and storage quote today. For corporate storage and moving, it's always the right move to choose Victory Van. That's victoryvan.com, Victory Van Corporation, delivering excellence for 75 years and proud partner of the Washington football team.
Finch Services Incorporated, recognized in its industry as a world-class organization, is the exclusive supplier of John Deere golf and sports turf maintenance equipment for the Mid-Atlantic region. In business since 1945, Finch helps golf course and sports turf managers maintain some of the most exclusive playing surfaces in the region. Experience the Finch advantage for yourself. Contact one of our golf and sports turf sales specialists to see how we can help you maintain your field of dreams. Go to finchturf.com for more information.
At RTS, game day strategy doesn't stop when the whistle blows. RTS delivers smarter, more responsible waste and recycling services. As an official partner of the Washington football team, RTS is connecting the team and FedEx Field with sustainable solutions to care for the community and the environment. RTS, a better waste company. Find out more at rts.com. A new decade demands a new kind of wine. As consumers continue to embrace healthier lifestyles with beverages that taste great and keep in line with their dietary preferences, and wine is no exception. Fresh Vine Wine thoughtfully crafts great tasting premium wines that are low calorie, low carb, low sugar, keto, vegan friendly, and gluten free. Fresh Vine Wines pairs perfectly with your active lifestyle without sacrificing on taste. Available in select stores in DC and Maryland.
You can hear every Washington football team game on the Team 980 and streaming on the radio.com app. Listen to Team 980 every day for expert analysis, Washington football guests, and your calls along with hosts Kevin Sheehan, Washington football legend Brian Mitchell, Steve Zabin, and more on the official radio of home of the Washington football team. Download the radio.com app and favorite the Team 980 today to listen on your phone or smart speaker. We are heading into WOW overtime, and wow, Kathy is incredible. I feel like we say this about all of our guests, but she truly is so selfless, and you can just tell like her heart is just pure gold, and everything that she does is truly about how to elevate, like she said, others. And we can do a quick little mini recap. I know what stuck out to me was how she said, you know, you grow up and you think you want to be in the spotlight. And then, you know, through life lessons and you kind of finding your purpose, you realize that I felt this personally. I feel like your mission is to put the spotlight on others. So I just love that she said that and can relate to it. And also love that she says she doesn't apologize for doing the things that she needs. Like if she knows she needs to take a nap, she does it, and she's not apologizing to anybody about it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's like where we talked about before on the team, you know, as you become a leader, or in this can be your career, it could have been in our cheerleading experience, it's less about you and more about others. And I think that's what exactly we're all saying, that it becomes more about everyone else and how you can make them better. And when she talked about her husband and his service, how he can protect others and make their experience safe and positive and lead the next leaders or bring up the next leader. So I have much more to say, but go ahead, Janine.
Yeah, I I mean, I definitely appreciated the fact that she's like, you know, if I need to take a nap or just watch a movie during the day, then I'm going to do it. And I think sometimes we as women feel as though that's not acceptable and that we have to do things and do it perfectly and make sure that we are always on our A game. And sometimes being on your A game means taking a seat and relaxing and refueling yourself and just remembering that you are important as well and that you have to make sure that you're taking care of your needs and knowing what it is that you need. And it's okay to sleep in or it's okay to watch a movie during the day. So I just love that she mentioned that. The other thing that was really profound was that she talked about how sometimes military men and women don't feel as though they're a part of the community. And so that just hurt my heart just because, you know, I think sometimes maybe we don't do enough as far as just saying thank you when we pass by someone on the street. I know when you're on a military base, it's easy to have those conversations, but in day-to-day life, sometimes we don't have those conversations. So for anyone listening, you know, military men, women, you know, veterans, families of those in the military, we love you. We appreciate you. We support you. You are us. Not only are you a part of our community, but you are us. So thank you so much for what you do for us.
I always feel the opposite. And so I guess I need to speak up more, like you're saying. I always feel drawn because they have this quality about them from moving and having to adjust and adapt all of the time that they can meet and talk to anybody. And, you know, their personalities, because of trials and things that are difficult, really are amazing. Like they're amazing people. And so I'm more drawn to them, you know what I mean? Like, okay, how can I be like you? Because they just seem so resilient. And so, yes, I probably, like you said, just need to do a better job of making that known. So.
And I think back to like, you know, one of my teammates who is the daughter of a former Navy SEAL and had traveled and lived overseas. And I think about the grace and the humility that she had and that I'm sure many military families have, because like you're saying, Stephanie, they have that resilience and they have that bravery and courage to just be dropped in a different country and have to survive and to adjust and adapt. And it just takes such a strong quality. And I agree. I think we're all saying the same thing. What we can take away from this interview is that we as civilians need to do a better job about making sure that obviously we are all so grateful, but making sure that they feel our grace and just how appreciative we are. And I personally cannot wait to get more involved in general with Blue Star families, but get back into being more involved locally here with our military efforts. That was a great interview. It was just such a joy to be able to have so much more time with our guests over the last couple of episodes, just to be able to really dive in, because I know the interviews fly by so quick. But to wrap this up, Stephanie, can you give us are there any WOW events coming up? Anything going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are for the virtual draft 5K. I know I entered to run, Lord help me. And we sent out an email to our WOW listeners, and our members, $5 off. So register as soon as you can to be able to take part. Obviously, the funds go to our wonderful charitable foundation. So we want to support them as well. Wednesday, May 12th, we're having an X's and O's, and this is going to be our first back in-person event at FedEx Field in the Touchdown Club. So we have a limited number that can attend, but I hope you can be there. We'll have alumni. We'll have one of our Washington football team coaches talking about X's and O's. Would love to make sure we're all there as well. And we're going to come up with our own WOW play that we're going to suggest to Coach Rivera, and we'll see if he does it. And then, of course, you know, draft night. Our FedEx Field, you know, live for 2021. We'll be there. I know Janine and I will be there to meet WOW members and get you to sign up. And we'll have, if you're there and present, we'll have a special shirt for you. So
can't wait. We have a lot coming on.
I know.
I won't be there. But speaking of the draft, we have a very exciting episode next time. We have the legendary Fred Smoot joining us on the next WOW episode to discuss all of the draft picks that the Washington football team snatches up. So I know it's going to be such a fun one. He is a hoot. So make sure you're subscribing so you don't miss that episode, because it is going to be a great one. I have no doubts. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the WOW, where we connect and empower women through sports. Huge thanks to our partners at Fresh Fine Wine. Till next time.
For more than 100 years, Chesapeake Employers Insurance has been helping Maryland businesses keep their workers safe. With competitive pricing and an AM Best A- financial strength rating, it's no surprise that Chesapeake Employers is Maryland's largest writer of workers' comp insurance.
At the end of every workday, someone's waiting for your safe return.
Connect with your agent or visit CEIWC.com.
Novec is powering a new generation by providing renewable energy, including solar. Once new solar projects are completed in 2023, Novec will provide enough to power 100,000 homes. Members may also purchase solar panels now through Novec Solutions, protecting the environment, providing reliable, safe, affordable electricity. Because future generations are depending on it. Novec, keeping life bright.
Every time the Maryland Lottery sells a Fast Play Progressive ticket, the jackpot grows. The Lucky Numbers Fast Play game has a jackpot that starts at $100,000 and goes up from there. New Diamond Mines jackpot starts at $250,000 and keeps growing and growing. Play all the Fast Play Progressive games from the Maryland Lottery. Play fast, win fast. And please play safely and responsibly.